At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
It's not your regular show. It's an online interactive session where we share my views on the everyday issues that cut across politics, security, health, current affairs, governance, and so much more. I am passionate about our country. I choose to support any conversation geared towards building a better Nigeria. Abajide Kolade Otitoju. Join me every Saturday on TVC News YouTube channel as I discuss Nigeria and the world at large on the show Issues with Jide.
Hello and thank you for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Today on the program, President Buhari convenes emergency security meeting as opposition senators threaten him with impeachment, stage workout of Senate session. And later on the show, Senate summons CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele as Naira slides to record 710 to $1. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adekunle Yusuf. Welcome to the program, gentlemen. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Adekunle, it's good to see you again.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the program. Journalist Hangout starts now. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's start by paying tribute to a veteran journalist and former chairman of the editorial board of the defunct New Nigerian newspaper, Alhamid Babatunde, who has died. A seasoned journalist died in Kaduna on Wednesday, 27th of July, at the age of 66. He was one of those who trained our own Bikeo. Bikeo, I cannot imagine your loss. Please accept my condolences.
Thanks. It's a massive personal loss to me because despite the fact that we do not see regularly, that it was my boss up till December 1992. Remained close to him. We communicated a lot, talking about national issues. There are so many things that I picked up from this man, and I am always eager to talk about those who trained me because I remain indebted to them. He's one of the people that I will never forget because that was my first job, and I will say that his skill at writing editorials is unparalleled. I've not seen anyone with the ability to write one of the best of his time at the NIJ. So we will all die. It's a debt that we owe, but it's painful to see good people die. He died in his sleep, and coming so close to the death of his wife is a massive loss to the family. I pray that God will bless his humble heart with Aljana Fidaus. He had such an infectious humility and very hardworking, very, very hardworking. It was a privilege to work with him, work with Abubakar, the former chief of staff to the president at that time, and they gave me the head start that I needed as a young journalist in his 20s at that time.
Adekunle.
Jide said it all. I wasn't, lucky to work with him unlike Jide. But a good journalist is a good journalist. And we don't have many examples, to talk about. So when those those very best, when we lose them, it depletes the rank, of the profession, and I'm sad that because we didn't even know the cause of his death. Somebody died, in his sleep, and very close. I think a month after he lost his wife. At 66, it's still a young age, but God knows best. That's the way we can just. So I pray to God to grant him, eternal rest.
And we also pray that God gives the family the fortitude to bear the loss. All right. The wheel of justice has caught up with the killers of 5-year-old schoolgirl Hanifa Abubakar. A Kano State High Court has sentenced to death by hanging the proprietor of Noble Kids Academy and Northwest Preparatory School, Kano Abdulmalik Tanko, who is the principal suspect in the kidnap and killing of Hanifa. The presiding judge, Justice Usman Naba, who delivered the judgment, also sentenced the second defendant, Hashim Iyako, to death by hanging and 4 years imprisonment for conspiracy and concealment. Bikil, the right judgments there?
Yes, the death of, the killing of Hanifa was like twisting a dagger into the soul of our nation. And at the time it happened, everyone was literally pained. I remember the vice president was concerned. People were really pained to see such a beautiful soul lost to the greed for money on the part of somebody who was supposed to take care of him in the first place. Because when parents drop their children at school, they put all their hope, all their trust, invest all their trust on the teachers and the other minders of the children. But to imagine that the proprietor of a school to whom you hand over your child would actually be the one to take the life of the child. I mean, it's terrible, almost unheard of. And that is why I will be happy to see this judgment implemented with alacrity. I've heard the governor of Kano say that once they bring the death warrant, is going to sign. He should not just make a promise that he will not fulfill. We want to see Governor Ganduje show the courage that a good number of his colleagues lack by signing the death warrant so that this fellow can go and meet his maker and face another judgment over there. As if the judgment on earth has not favored him, you can predict that the one over there will also not favor him. Let Governor Ganduje not waste time, as he promised, to sign the death warrant and let this guy leave the rest of us alone. It's unfortunate that a little child's life can be taken in this manner. So I know it's likely to appeal, but the evidence is stacked against him. He had even confessed. And his confession was recorded. So where does he hide? Where does he run to? I mean, the die is cast. So there is, in my view, a prima facie case against him, and all that the prosecution lawyer needs to do is to, when he appeals, they should tighten the screw, continue to tighten the screw. It's going nowhere.
And a loud message you will call this to other perpetrators out there.
Yes, I remember when we talked about this same matter on this program. It's scary that somebody who should be, grooming your child, somebody who should be molding the future of young children. I mean, our children, your children, mine, and all that are the ones
What's in this kind?
becoming kidnappers. At the time, reports said he even demanded 6 million. At the end of the day, the most annoying thing was that they killed them in their custody. It took long before, security agencies were able to actually detect. At the end of the day, this is good news because justice must be served. And when I say justice must, there is no way we can bring a closure to this, but at least to some extent, let justice be served. I know it will still go, on appeals. That is sure, because in Nigeria, every issue must, reach the final stage, which is the Supreme Court. And I will be too happy if it can be handled expeditiously, in a very quick and fast manner. Because in Nigeria, we have governors all over Nigeria. It's not about one party, APC, PDP, all of them. So when people have been convicted, instead of our governors to sign the death warrant, they chicken out. Many of them will try to rationalize by saying they don't want to have blood on their hands. And some of them, from what I've seen so far, some will tell you that they don't quite have faith in the judicial system, as if our system is so thoroughly bad that from the first stage up to the Supreme Court, and the judges can be biased, which is totally not true. It's just their own, unwillingness to do the needful. So in this case, I think even if it is to send a strong message out there, this man is not supposed to continue to live. I'm sorry to say, the law should thoroughly implemented in this own matter.
All right, the other one there. All right, let's quickly move on. There's fire on the mountain in Nigeria as far as insecurity is concerned, and it appears those at the helm of affairs are beginning to run. The Senate had a stormy session over the matter, leading to opposition senators storming out of plenary. They issued a six-week ultimatum to President Muhammadu Buhari to tackle rising insecurity in the country or be impeached. Barely 24 hours after, President Buhari summoned a National Security Council meeting in Abuja. The emergency meeting, which had the National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Monguno, Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashir Mogashi, that of Police Affairs, Maigari Dinyagi, and security chiefs in attendance. It was expected to reassess the current security situation across the country. Gentlemen, meetings upon meetings, ultimatum upon ultimatum without results, making it look like, Mikhail, help me out.
Yeah, we expected that there will be a meeting, an emergency meeting after this. What we do not yet know is whether the meeting would deliver what we expect. And what do we expect? An improvement in the security situation of our country. Mr. President has received tremendous support from the National Assembly. There is no reason in the world for the support that he enjoys to not be justified. Appropriation for defense is always huge. For internal security is always huge. This is not an adversarial National Assembly. They support the president all the way. But one thing we have noticed over the years is that these lawmakers would pass resolutions talking about how they expect the executive to go, the direction they expect the executive to go in defeating insecurity. But what we usually see is that the resolutions go, get ignored. I remember the chairman of the Senate Committee on the Army, Senator Aliun Dume, complaining on the floor of the Senate that when he gets to heaven on Judgment Day, he's going to point at the Senate president that he didn't lead them well, and that for that reason, people are dying. He said is going to give an excuse to God that this is the person who is our leader. It's not my fault, sir. This is the person who is our leader. He said that he spoke with so much anger. That's a senator from the ruling party. We also had Senator Smart Adeyemi speak in the same vein. But those such demonstrations of anger have not translated to improvement in any way in the security of our people and their properties. We see things even degenerating. Gun attack on a church in Owo. Nobody could have predicted it. Nobody could have predicted it. Bandits are now behaving like they own the rest of us, or that the rest of us are even their slaves. We are surrendering the initiative to bandits. Because when you now order schools to be closed, there are two ways by which people can look at it. Yes, it's a proactive step to ensure that bandits don't come and seize those school children and take them away. But it also will suggest to people that because you are not convinced that you have what it takes to stop it from happening, then you've taken the steps, the step to just evacuate those schools. And that's what we've seen in many parts of the Northwest. Boarding facilities have been scrapped in public schools. Public schools in semi-urban and rural areas are being shut. People are now free to go to school in the urban centers, in the state capitals. I've never seen anything this bad. So if you go to the point that in the Senate, they had a closed-door session where it was decided that, look, let's get this message across to Mr. President that he needs, that we want him to cause an improvement to happen in the security of our country within 6 weeks, after which we will then decide on the next course of action. But the PDP members, according to Senator Smart Adeyemi, nobody in plenary disagreed with the idea of issuing an ultimatum. Okay. But the PDP guys now came out to follow that up by asking, by proposing to impeach. Of course, Ahmed Lawan will not sit there and encourage an impeachment motion to happen, even if in the course of the meeting all of you agreed to it, once it gets to the open session, he's going to do everything to frustrate it. That is why the PDP will realize why it pays to be in the majority. Because some of your schemes, some of your plans can easily be frustrated by the majority, no matter how lofty those ideas are. But I'm happy about one thing. That is, judging from what Senator Smart Adeyemi said, a preponderance of these senators agree. No matter what we call them, we can call them rubber stamp. We won't be far from the truth. But a preponderance of those senators agree that we have reached the point now that we must get the message across to Mr. President that it is wrong for us to continue to stay unprotected, and that something drastic must happen within a short time, 6 weeks. So let's see what will happen, although it's a bit also shocking to me that at such a difficult time, they decided to run away.
I wanted to say that.
On a break. They are meant to come back September 20th. If you don't take steps to solve the problem, by the time you come back in September, the problem will still remain. So the earlier, they have said that they could call an emergency session, even in the course of their break. But it makes sense to try to solve a problem before proceeding on break, because where you are going, there's no guarantee that where you are going is safe. If Abuja now, out of 6 area councils, they've attacked 2. So that solved the problem before proceeding on break. I think that would have been the right thing for them to do.
Adekunle, let me have your thoughts.
I don't want to use, unkind words for this Senate. But every Nigerian knows that the best word to use for this Senate is yes men, yes women, you could rubber stamp, Senate. We've never had it this way. And I won't say the worst, but I will see it as the worst pro-executive, National Assembly, both arms. And when you look at the kind of calamities, that have befallen our country in the past few years, and the legislature, that arm of government that is meant to put the executive on its toes, is incapacitated, weak, and asleep. So what do we have? See, in this kind of thing, leadership matters. Is key. You see, you are in the midst of a big crisis, then you go to sleep. That's the right way to interpret what the Senate has done. You want to go on recess over what? At a time there is a national fire that should be put out by every patriot. Now you want to go, even in your various constituencies, as Jide said, who told you that you are safe? That you may even come back alive. Nigerians are dying every day. And when you look at the level of insecurity in Nigeria, it's unprecedented. We've never had it this bad.
It's terrible.
So when somebody says we are holding meetings, that's the normal thing they do. What have we ever seen after such meetings? More of the same. Terrible same. So it's not that after such meetings, they just come around, talk, blah, 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 just like all movements, all motion without movement. Nothing. Just like a mere effusion of gas. Nothing. Signifying nothing.
All right, gentlemen, we still have more to discuss on this particular issue, but let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back.
Properties presents the R3 Conference. Recharge, reload, refire. 1 day, 4 speakers, 5 companies, 100 attendees. It is the first annual leadership conference. Join us on Saturday, the 30th of July at 10 a.m. at 4 Points by Sheraton Lekki, Lagos. Come learn high impact growth and leadership. Speaking Ni Adesonya, Olakunle Shoriyan, Dotun Oluyede, ID Olumide Kabasa. To register, visit the r3conference.com/ticket. This event is proudly sponsored by Roulette Property and First Fountain Homes.
The Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, Engineer Professor M.S. Haruna Sarikin Sharif and Jahan Nasarawa, cordially invites the public to the groundbreaking of the permanent site of Agricultural Machinery and Equipment Development Institute and launching of solar home systems for 4,000 homes in Lafia, Nasarawa State. On the same day, there will be a groundbreaking of NASENI Skill Development Center and North Central Zonal Engineering and Science Integrated Laboratory in Kefi, Nasarawa State. Date, Monday, 1st August 2022. Time, 10 a.m. beside College of Agriculture in Lafia and 2 p.m. for Zonal Laboratory along Kefi, Nasarawa Road. Special guest of honor, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, the Chief of Staff to the President. Chief host, the Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi Suley. Special guest, the Honorable Minister for Environment, Barrister Mohammed Hassan Abdullahi. Royal Fathers of the Day, the Emir of Lafia and Baribari and Chairman, Nasarawa State Council of Chiefs, and the Emir of Kefi, Alhaji Shehu Chindo Yumusa III, who is the Vice Chairman, Nasarawa State Council of Chiefs, and Chancellor, Nasarawa State University. Announcer, Professor Engineer M.S. Haruna, Executive Vice Chairman.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching Journalist Hangout, and I'm in the studio today with Babajide Koladiotitoju and Adekunle Yusuf. Before we went on that break, we were talking about security issues. Because a lot of Nigerians are frustrated. Now, if terrorists have, gotten so bold to threaten the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, attack the military guard, governors are now very frustrated. When will Nigerians not resort to self-help?
It's, you see, many people like to resort to self-help, but not against people who are well-armed like this. You pay with your life. Vigilantes have been slaughtered in large numbers by these bandits. They have some very dangerous weapons. So people who have the capacity, the capability to kill soldiers, are you going to confront them with them guns when they have GPMG? Some of them have some weapons too that some NATO weapons that they got through the black market, sneaked into our country through Libya, Chad axis. So they're the people that you want to confront. Some of the bloodiest nights that we've seen in the Northwest, talking about bandits attacking communities, happened when the people tried to stand up to them. You hear up to 80 killed in one day, even 100, 120 in Katsina. On the day Goodluck Jonathan went to Katsina to campaign in 2015, 120 persons were killed by bandits. 120 persons. They had come back to avenge the attack on them by vigilantes. That's usually what happens. Look at the killings in Kebbi South. This Wasugu, all those areas in Zulu Emirate. They were in response to people standing up to them. You are not as armed as they are, so it's already like a mismatch. What we want to see, and some of our leaders who are asking the people to defend themselves, they are just irresponsible. You can't tell people who have not got the kind of weapons that these boys have to defend themselves. It's your responsibility to put measures in place that ensure that the people are safe. You've got to mobilize our troops who are paid from taxpayers' money to protect us to go defend our people. not to be encouraging our people to stand up to people who some of them. If you saw the video of these bandits when they kidnapped the government secondary school Kagara in Niger State, they had RPG, and the RPG is a tank buster. It's used to destroy tanks, but they fire it at people. So you can imagine the impact, the destruction that it will cause when something meant to destroy armored tanks. Armored tanks are known for thick armor. You now fire it at people. Within a 50-meter radius, anybody in that area is gone. And they use it. So I don't subscribe to this idea of self-help because it will not help our people. It will not help our people. Let the Nigerian military and the armed forces generally should be able to exterminate these people if the strategy is right, if they are provided with what they need. Most of the time, and they work in tandem. The Air Force, knowing that the army is headed in this direction, and they provide air cover. We have unmanned area vehicles, drones. You send drones in the direction of the enemy so that you can know the precise position of the enemy. Not that soldiers, surface troops, will just simply be going as if blindfolded to an area. Of course, they walk into an ambush. So our approach has to change. We should realize that this is not conventional warfare. This is asymmetric warfare. So our approach, the kind of training that our people get in the military schools, may not apply in dealing with these good-for-nothing people. Honestly, the approach has to change.
Adekunle, Ene Abaribe made some accusations which some Nigerians would really understand his frustrations. It says there appears to be a collusion between the government and the perpetrators of this terror.
How I wish the government will respond in a way that we put to rest such speculations. But the government is always working to prove such speculators right. You can, how many do you want to mention? We know what this government inherited. There were crises before they came in. But most Nigerians, and I use the word deliberately, most Nigerians believed then, I'm talking about 2015, that a retired, military general with a background, with his credentials, with everything, will be able to handle the Boko Haram insurgency better than a Goodluck Jonathan, who is not that endowed in terms of military, experience. Antecedents. Believe me, the people know the true situation now. So we moved from, as we were saying that time, we had 14 local governments where Boko Haram hosted their flags and Today, what do we have? Under a retired general, we moved from a little crisis in a small part of Nigeria to a crisis that has enveloped the entire length and breadth of Nigeria, with an administration that is completely clueless about what to do. And even when you hear certain statements from the president, you know that we should just continue to pray. You get my point? Even from some of his aides. So I'm not trying to carpet anything, but this is just, we just have to talk about it. Right. There's nothing this government has done in terms of security that has helped. It has always got worse. And from, reports we have today, apart from the last time the attack in Ondo State, there was another attack today. Is that a sign of a government that is proactive, that is working hard? No, that's not. People get killed every day, attacked every day in very many parts of Nigeria. It's so sad, and that's why everybody wants to have a gun and protect themselves, which will lead to further anarchy.
All right, Adekunle, we have Prince from Lagos. Prince, are you there?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Babajide, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Prince.
Yeah. I have been following your program for a very long time. The Tucano you talk about, what happened to the Tucano jet the federal government bought?
They are there. They are doing very well in the Northeast. They are doing very well. They are doing very well in the Northeast, and they play a big part in the successes that we are recording in the Northeast. The Northeast is not as bad as it used to be. It's a lot safer now. Thanks to the Tucanos, thanks to the unmanned area vehicles, thanks to the revitalization of the T-72 main battle tanks and other weapons that have been supplied. So we are doing very well in the Northeast. But the Tucanos, the Americans have said we cannot use the Tucano outside the Northeast. That is the agreement that we signed with them, because we said we wanted to use it against terrorists. But in the Northwest, the Americans don't reckon with the fact that those operating in the Northwest at this time are terrorists. So they are not allowing us to use the Tucano in the Northwest. And if you insist on using it, I can tell you they will get to know the supply of spears will stop. The training that they're giving our men will stop. At the end of the day, it will become a bad business. So Nigeria is not prepared to take that risk now and use the Tucano in places where you agree that you will not use them from the beginning. So this is the situation. It's not as if the Tucanos are not doing well. They are doing very well in the Northeast. I can testify to that because I went there. I saw the Tucanos in action.
All right. Thank you very much, Prince. I hope BKO has done justice to that. All right, BKO, your last take on this before we move on quickly.
I just think that we should see security as the biggest problem confronting our nation. For the past 3 years or so, it's clearly been the biggest problem confronting our nation. There is a need to treat it like a real emergency. Emergency, not just as a spoken word. Emergency in terms of our response to the problem at hand. The response is not good enough. The strategy is not good enough. The coordination is not good enough.
And the result,
the armed forces, and is reflecting
the result
in the absence of the right result. There is no reason in the world for a bunch of good-for-nothing people to go and attack a prison and operate for more than 2 hours in the seat of power, not far from the airport, which is the gateway to our nation. There are so many things that Nigerians are not happy about. And this government must realize that if it does not defeat insecurity or cause an improvement to happen, it's going to cost it a lot of support ahead of the 2023 elections.
All right, well said, BKO. Thank you, Mr. Dikuli. All right, let's quickly move on to the last lap of the program. That the Naira continues to witness a downward slide is worrisome to every Nigerian. As such, the Senate has summoned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, over depreciation of the Naira. This followed a motion by Senator Olubunmi Adetumbi as the Naira currently trades above 700 Naira per dollar. Above 700 per dollar at the parallel market. Adekunle, how disgraceful is this? Has he ever gotten this bad?
No, it has never. This is the worst situation economically we have ever been as a country. The worst. Nigeria has never been this terrible. Nigeria is now a place where people are no longer happy. People are crying. People are hungry. People are angry. Every day. We're not talking about you want to build a house, you want to buy land. No.
Eat.
It's an impossible thing. too difficult for many Nigerians. Of course, we have always battled with poverty. We know that every country does. But what we've had under this administration has never happened. You see, I'll give you some of the, how to tell you how this government has devalued life living in Nigeria. Let me tell you some of the devaluation and you will shake your head. You see, when this government took over, the price of rice, which is one of the most popular food items in the house of every Nigerian. I'm talking about the poor, I'm not talking about our big men. As at the time this government took over, it was 8,700 naira. Today, you need to buy the same, I'm thinking of 50 kg. Now, you need to buy the same bag, 37, 30 something, 40 hours, depending on where you are, area where you're running. To me, that's almost 400%
increment.
Devaluation, percent. How do people handle that? When you go from that to bread, palm oil, diesel, when this government took over, was 145 naira. Do you know that today, the Nigerian economy as a whole, all over Nigeria, is not powered by our electricity, it's powered by diesel. Today, for a liter of diesel, you need to pay at least 800 naira. If you are in any market or any shopping mall, anywhere, and you realize that what you bought yesterday has increased today, that's part of the reason, because operating costs are killing businesses. And it didn't start this month or last month. It's been on for months, since last year. And our country has been clueless and inept at handling this matter. So you can go on and go on. Look at domestic flights in Nigeria. Many of them are collapsing. Many of them are, reducing.
Number of flights.
You see so many things. In terms of economic calamity, what is happening? Look at something again. Gas. For a 12.5 kg that you can feed at the time for like 3,000, 2,005, 2,007. Today, especially in Lagos, it goes not for nothing less than 10,000 naira. You get my point? When we talk about petrol, despite all the deceptions from some of those who said if they do this, the prices will come down. The prices have always been going up. And unfortunately, you see scarcity queues in many places in Nigeria. Up to this moment, there is no one that can tell you this is how much they are selling a liter of petrol. If you go to this, what you will buy is, I was in Osun for the election, all the filling stations where I was buying, I didn't buy anything less than 200.
All right, BKO, let me have your thought. And then again, isn't it time the CBN governor takes a bow?
Yes, if he has
honor.
If he has honor, as tiny as a mustard seed, by now he would have left on his home. Because, remaining there, I just don't get it. It's the typical Nigerian. The Nigerian is failing at something. He doesn't see himself as someone who has failed this nation. But he wants to remain. In fact, he wanted to be president. That's the shame of it all. It's an insult to the rest of us that a man who has presided over the free fall of our currency wants to even become president. What is the if you are standing on that soapbox, what is the first thing that you will say to defend yourself, to even say that you are qualified? In 2014, it was 180 naira to a dollar. 2014. Today, 716. It came to 716 yesterday. People are talking about 710. It came to 716 yesterday.
That's
it fluctuates.
In terms of percentage.
Sometimes how much you bought the currency or you exchange the currency in the morning will not necessarily be the price at which, the rate at which you exchange it in the night at 10 p.m. The volatility that we face with our currency is the worst anywhere in the world. Look at the South Africans. It is 16 rand to a dollar. 16 rand to a dollar. Morocco is the Moroccan dirham is 10 to a dollar. 10 Moroccan dirham to a dollar. 10 Egyptian pound, 18 Egyptian pound to a dollar. Then Botswana, their currency, the Botswana pula, is 12 Botswana pula to a dollar. All of these countries is the same thing with even the Kenyans. Kenyan shilling is 118 Kenyan shilling to a dollar. These are countries that we like to say we are bigger than them, we are their big brothers, we are
giant of Africa. They
are not facing the kind of problem. Yes, Angola is one of the most expensive countries to live in this continent. Inflation is a big issue in Uganda, in Angola. But it is 400 and the currency exchanges at 432 to the dollar. All of those countries, including the ones around us now, their currencies are stronger than our own. When people say, "Oh, it's because we stopped producing," that's not the only reason. Are we the only country? What is Togo exporting to the world? Are we the only country? It's the way the currency has been managed. Right, you operate a dual exchange window. People have said you need to close the gap between the two.
All right, Bikio, I would allow you continue your discussion when we come back from this break.
Properties present the R3 Conference. Recharge, reload, refire. 1 day, 4 speakers, 5 companies, 100 attendees. It is the first annual leadership conference. Join us on Saturday, the 30th of July at 10 a.m. at 4 Points by Sheraton Lekki, Lagos. Come learn high impact growth and leadership. Speaking Ni Adesonya, Olakunle Shoriyan, Dotun Oluyede, ID Olumide Kabasa. To register, visit the r3conference.com/ticket. This event is proudly sponsored by Roulette Property and First Fountain Homes.
The University of Medical Sciences, UNIMED, in Ondo City, Ondo State, is not just the first specialized medical and health sciences university in Nigeria.
It is the best ground for training in the health professions and medical sciences with outstanding products.
I had to enroll at another institution before coming to UNIMED, and I can tell you, in terms of facility, affordable cost, uninterrupted academic calendar, University of Medical Sciences blew my mind.
In just 7 years of its founding, the National Universities Commission, NUC, ranks UNIMED best among medical and health sciences university in Nigeria, 4th best state university, and 19th overall best in Nigeria in 2021. UNIMED, proudly Nigeria's first specialized medical and health sciences university.
Roulette Properties present the R3 Conference. Recharge, reload, refire. 1 day, 4 speakers, 5 companies, 100 attendees. It is the first annual leadership conference. Join us on Saturday, the 30th of July at 10 a.m. at 4 Points by Sheraton Lekki, Lagos. Come learn high impact growth and leadership. Speaking Ni Adesonya, Olakunle Shoriyan, Dotun Oluyede, ID Olumide Kabasa. To register, visit the r3conference.com/ticket. This event is proudly sponsored by Roulette Property and First Fountain Homes.
All right, welcome back. This is still Journalist Hangout, and we're talking about the Naira witnessing the most alarming downward slide in years. Bikio.
Yes, and what I'm saying is, and I've challenged the CBN governor in the past. Some of the people who sit on social media to defend rubbish, they've not come out to take up that challenge. I've said, mention a country that operates this dual exchange window with the kind of gap between the unofficial and the official markets. Because when you allow this kind of gap to subsist, it only encourages rent seeking. There's no way that the gap will be that wide. Let's even say 415 to 710. If you have the dollar, you will take it to the black market. The people who use the black market are a lot more because we have not perfected we have not solved the supply disequilibrium by making sure that those who want to access it either through the banks can access it when they need it. If you people, we now have people, importers, who are forced to go to the black market because the currency is not readily available. We have investors who came into our country to invest, and they are struggling to pull the money that they've made in our country. They are struggling to even pull it out because the dollar is not made available to them. It's the same thing that's frustrating even airlines. Some of them are forced to resort to the black market. Look at what the diesel importers are saying. They said, CBN, give us dollar at the official exchange rate. If you do that, the price will go down because some of us are resorting to the black market. So if that window, because even during the Jonathan era, it's not as if we didn't have dual exchange rate. During the Abacha era, it's not as if we didn't have the dual exchange rate. But there has been no time in the history of our country where the gap between the unofficial market, between the unofficial market rate and the official market rate is this wide. So if you have it, you know to make money. And a lot of the banks, what are they doing? They supply banks with forex every week. They pull this forex and give to bureau de change operators, to people who will go and sell at the black market rate. Something that you need, they will be asking you questions. There's a friend of mine who had to threaten a bank before they made the dollar available to him. So when people say go to a bank, if you are doing good business, go to the bank, you will get it. They don't know what they are talking about. They don't know what they are talking about. People are forced because they go to those banks and it's not readily made available to them. They are forced to use the black market.
All right.
So the demand, people will keep asking for this thing because it's not readily available.
Adekunle, let me have your last thought before we go.
Yes, with Nigeria with not less than 34% unemployment rate, cannot have peace until that problem is solved, because what that means is that 60% of our national youth demographic is unemployed. So you know what that means. We will not have peace, there won't be security, there will be anarchy. When people are hungry, people are hungry. And under this administration, poverty is rising at an alarming rate. And this is a government that said it will pull out 100 million people out of poverty. So it means the exact opposite of that is what is happening in Nigeria. 100 million people back down into poverty. So if President Muhammadu Buhari continues this way, if he hands over Nigeria in this state in terms of security, if it hands over Nigeria in this level of economy, even if he likes to build the second Niger bridge in every state, many Nigerians will see him as the worst leader they have ever had.
All right. At least we do hope that something tangible at least comes out of this security meeting they just had. All right, that's all on Journalist Hangout today. Thank you very much, BK, for coming on the show. Thank you, Mr. Adekunle. Thank you very much. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeats broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Olajumoke Olatunji. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Looking at the indicators for next year, the macroeconomic environment requires economic liberalization for sustainable private capital growth in 2023. I believe that will be a strategic macroeconomic tool to leapfrog Africa's economy from